Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I am thrilled, as always, to be joined by Crumbs, Emily Rand, and Kobe to kick off another Sunday full of LCS action. But before we get any further, Twitch chat, we need your opinions for another edition of According To, with me, La Tigress. We want you to know who you thought got nerfed the hardest this last patch. Was it Camille, Kai'Sa, Renekton, Samira, Skarner, tanks, jungle, or support? Be sure to let us know in chat, and we'll grab your answers and use them to confuse our analysts a little later on. But before we let that confusion begin, let's make sure that we take a peek over at our standings. Cloud9 remain at the top with a strong 9-2 record uncontested, and behind them in second are 100 Thieves and TSM. With Dignitas in fourth, Evil Geniuses and Team Liquid are together in fifth with a 6-5 record to round out the middle of the pack. But I think it's time for us to get these big brains going after a Saturday full of exciting matches. Crumbs, I know you were pumped to talk about the face-off that we saw between Dignitas and 100 Thieves.
That's right. They were fighting for second place, so it was really hype. You know that both teams prepped really hard for each other. Dignitas came out swinging with a Hecarim, Seraphine composition, and it felt like they had a lot of control throughout most of the game. Despite being in a relatively close gold, Dignitas was very assertive, and they were constantly looking for plays, and it felt like 100 Thieves was really continuing the struggle of how to play with the control mages, getting used to the new meta, until this play where Dignitas overcommits in the red side, and they lose the game from this. They actually end up going to lose all the following fights where 100 Thieves just ends up stealing the game, essentially. And it really did not feel like 100 Thieves was the better team. You can see the reaction. Look at the monster right there. You think that's the face of someone that feels like they played a really good game, that they just earned the win? It is not. So I still think that Dignitas showed to be the better team despite losing.
That was a fun game, Crumbs, and that is like a Dignitas game through and through. I remember back to the Dignitas games that you used to play on.
Oh, man.
Just as exciting, just as up in the air, back and forth, my friend. Honestly, that one had it all. Afro Mu Alistar, constant interrupts on Huhi early on, and it looked like they were going to win, but someday constant pressure on top side finally came up big in that team fight as well.
Yeah, I was going to call out Someday and the flanks because I feel like that's what made the massive difference for 100 Thieves in this, despite the fact that it's definitely not how they wanted to win.
I'm amazed that down the line, no matter who is on Dignitas, we can still rely upon seeing plays like that happen. Yep. And it's been a discussion on the desk, right? Whether Dignitas is somebody that we should consider as a contender. I think it was Primal that had said it comes down to who they're facing. But Crumbs, what do you make of it when coming off of a match like this where 100 Thieves are considered a top team, but have had some questionable moments even when asking the players directly themselves?
I think from Dignitas' perspective, you can be fairly happy with that game. You were very proactive, and you can really boil it down to that one big play. Had they gotten the Baron, I think the game would have been able to be closed a lot easier. Now, we don't know that because they had no ranged marksmen, so it could have been tough, but I still think that that was the big play. And on the 100 Thieves side, it's still the continuation of the same issues where how do you figure out how to adapt to the new patches where globals are not as strong, where you're trying to play these control mages that got buffed up.
That's one thing that we have been tracking is how will 100 Thieves perform under these different type of compositions. Another game that was pretty fire that we got to tune into yesterday was C9 versus EG.
Banger of a game right there. We got to see a fully constructed Bronze Zodia composition from Cloud9. Me and Freak were actually celebrating in Champ Select because Cloud9 early draft this Gragas. They keep it as a flex pick, and they laid the groundwork with 5 previous games of top Gragas for Fudge. But then they slammed down the Malphite in the final pick. Everybody has knockups for this Yasuo, and they bring back a Cloud9 favorite, a Cloud9 specialty, the Yasuo Gragas, which this organization has such a long history with, both in Academy and in the LCS, using it as a flex for mid jungle, also bottom lane. Now they got to let Perks have his hand at it, and Blabber right off the bat, he picked up where he left off last time, just 4 kills straight out of the gate here on the Gragas, setting them up, and they are finally able to finish out this game. Doesn't matter if they miss 1 knockup, 2 knockups, 3 knockups. Eventually, somebody's going to hit one, and they get the carries.
What I really like about that comp is that Perks gets to bring the Yasuo, and I think Perks is the best Yasuo we have in the NA right now. So you're actually going to be able to level up the Yasuos, or at least have somebody that is really good at it, because you can play it in the bottom lane and the mid lane.
So I want to bring it back to Blabber because I feel like when we were first talking about this patch, we cited Blabber as a jungler who would be able to adapt really well because he does play things like the Gragas. I know Alarum wanted to see the Elise. He was already playing the Rek'Sai before this patch as well. And it's really nice to see a team flex Gragas into that jungle position. And, you know, the new patch allows for that more. We've only seen one support Gragas in LCS, which is kind of crazy when you look at how much has been flexed in other regions and how much this champion can bring you flexibility in the draft. It fits in a lot of different team comps. It was even played mid from TES Knight. I wouldn't recommend that necessarily, but I just think this added flexibility for C9 in draft that also plays to the strengths of Blabber with the Gragas jungle was really, really nice to see.
It's something that we've mentioned before. The viability of a pick being a flex pick really comes down to who on the team can actually pilot that pick effectively, and we saw that from Blabber. But let's find out if any of these performances from the C9 members were enough for them to work up their standings on the Samsung SSD Fast 5. We've got our leaderboards here. Some changes, some sections that have remained exactly the same.
So as a jungler, obviously my eyes go to the center of the screen right there. Blabber, why is he so much faster? 5:19, crazy time to hit level 6. Well, good luck trying to keep up with him, my friends. You looked at that game, and he actually not only was able to do full clears, get a kill, but he took almost 2 waves of solo XP in the mid lane. So to hit that time, you can't power clear. You actually have to be very active.
Yep, and for my money, nobody is actually going to overcome this 519 record because guess what? They just nerfed jungle experience on the last patch. And while multiple junglers can take waves from mid lane, we saw Closer do it as well. Now there's less experience in the jungle, so this is kind of a stacked one for the SSD.
Dang, that's so true. Jungle being exactly the same as it was last week. And I don't know if that's ever going to change anytime here on the broadcast. We'll keep tracking it, though. Now, I thought that we could continue to ease our way into our analysis for the day with some enriching arts and graphs. The concept's pretty simple. We'll be exhibiting different gold graphs from our spring exhibition. You'll work together to tell me what game each graph is from and what you think happened to cause the game-ending win, or swing, rather. First up, we've got a beautiful piece. I also want to say how beautiful everyone looks now, though. You all came out in full fashion. Oh my gosh, Kobe, well, you're sipping on some stuff over there. We'll get another
I have some
look at that soon.
here.
Oh,
I am
okay.
both a hipster and an elite.
I know, wow.
Keeping it healthy and nice here on the desk. Let's direct our attention to this beautiful piece that you have before you. It is a slightly more nuanced approach to the back and forth we have and the looks that we've brought from our analyst today with our human being experience, but compelling all the same. So tell me, who are the artists and what happened here?
So my first thoughts go to the beautiful backtrack behind this graph. There's a lot of grid here. So I'm thinking this is a long game. We went a very long distance with this one, and frankly, I'm thinking Golden Guardians had that very long game. That 100 Thieves Golden Guardians reminds me of that.
That was a long one for sure, my friend. That was a long one for sure. And we need to look at the details as well, because this is actually a red side win. And blue side is highly favored, actually. Anywhere from 55 to 60-something% win rate for a blue side in professional games. This is probably one of the better teams in the league. I don't know if we can actually give it to one of the bottom tier ones.
Well said, Kobe.
All right, well, I will give you a little hint as we're going to lock into our final answer of what game it is this was where one of our artists is definitely what you would call from a developmental era. So I know Crumbs is kind of leaning towards the GG side. I don't know if that pushes any of our artists.
I'm doubling down.
I concur with Crumbs.
All right, yeah,
Good concurrence.
Wow,
Good
good
concurrence,
job.
fellas.
All right, so let's see what led to quite the change there on the gold, the image and beautiful artistry we saw.
See, I feel like so many of my answers are going to be looking at 100 Thieves games for these reasons, because A, they go very long, and B, something happens usually around the Baron or Red Side Jungle area.
Yep. I think that's a good way
Classic.
to put it. Yeah, classic. I also want you all to know, I tried really hard to find a beret and I couldn't find my fedoras. I found one hat that's a little different and I found an actual art palette, but I'm not going to hold this in front of my face the entire time. But I am here with you in theme as we go on to our next piece, which definitely tells a certain tale of triumphs and defeats, you know, the epic highs and lows of the legends. But tell me, who do you think are the artists?
This one is speaking to me because you see this initial red blob and then a blue side victory. That could be CLG. CLG always get first blood and yet lose the game.
I think the most telling part is that it's very back and forth. You know, you see that red dip in and out off of the back, and then it goes way up for blue side. It's like a Baron definitely happened here.
I'll have what Kobe's sipping on and think it's CLG as well.
All right, we have our art critics here locking into CLG. I think that's good enough for us to find out, you know, who they're actually playing up against to create this beautiful
Oh.
We got the ultimate combo, CLG versus Dignitas here, and it was one of these games. Every CLG game, they start out with the first blood, and yet Dignitas team fighting coming through. This was actually the game they let Dardoch have Udyr.
Oh,
Lesson learned.
the days of Udyr.
Oh no, not this play.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to give him a little bit of credit here. He's got Spellbook, he has Smite, you know, you gotta go for these hero plays. CLG, they need a hero right now. RJS was trying to be that.
I need a hero. He was trying, but maybe we'll see what comes from CLG in the future. We do got another piece from our collection here in spring. This one has a larger, more definitive arc, to be sure. I'll give you a quick second to ponder what was happening and what the story is here.
So with the mid
Something happened in the mid game here.
Yeah, with the mid-game red side flip, but it's not like a massive spike, right? So I'm thinking back to week 1 with Evil Genius's 100 Thieves, actually. Because that was a game where EG, you know, they had a solid lead, and then they kind of lost it through some team fighting, I believe, in the mid lane. And, you know, 100 Thieves were on red side, so that's my best guess.
I only have hard eyes for what Kobe said now. I see every game that starts with a gold advantage and loses as a CLG game.
CLG game.
I'm going with CLG again.
That's actually not a bad call.
Ah, a connoisseur. I like it, Crumbs. Thank you, thank you.
All right, well, I mean, we've got some votes for CLG, some over for an EG game. Let's go ahead and find out the artist behind our final masterpiece. It's EG versus
Nice,
TL.
Emily.
Yes.
How about
Oh, wait,
bringing it
no,
through?
never mind. This is not the game I was thinking of, but EG
You
winning
get
on
full
red side
credit.
instead.
Yeah.
I will take the credit anyway. Yeah, I forget that TL actually had some early starts and then ended up losing. Oh, this was the impact. Oh, we should have known, you know, the impact NAR recovery, the insane mental. It just shows in that picture. I should have known, really.
Yeah. You learn. You camp impact 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, but the 4th time, that's where we draw the line.
I know you have all given me so much confidence. If once we are able to venture out in the world, go to an art gallery, I believe in all of you. And I have to keep looking this way so the hat doesn't fall off. We're going to go for a quick short break. And when we come back, we've got some according to. So make sure you lock in your votes and tell us who got gutted by patch 11.4 in the chat. See you soon. Hello and welcome back to the LCS Countdown. We've got some important business to sort out today, so it's time for another edition of According To. With me, La Tigress. Now, earlier, I gathered some intel from Twitter. Today, we consulted Twitch chat, and our homie Jose Teoro has left us a message for a little later on. My analysts, are we ready to dive in?
Yeah.
I'm never ready to guess the will of the people.
You're better at it than you think, Emily, having been on According To a couple times. Now, let's get to the first one. According to Twitter, who will make a miracle run in the second half of spring?
Ooh.
Ooh, interesting.
Gotta
big of a
think of the
miracle?
bottom teams.
How big of a miracle?
The biggest miracle would be CLG. So
Yeah.
if you're going for a big miracle, I would say CLG, but I don't think the Twitter believes.
I don't think
you
Twitter
gotta think
believes,
about
but
Twitter
would
here.
they meme it?
Mm.
That's my only question.
I think there's a bigger meme in Dignitas because they could still make a miracle run. And to me, a miracle run would be if they make it to finals. That would be like, whoa, that's really impressive. You actually beat like TL, TSM, EG,
Yeah.
with C9.
Honestly, I'm feeling the Dignitas answer because they're already in the miracle run.
Yeah.
They're doing it right now. They're at the top of the standings. So I agree. I'll go with that.
Now, I'm trying to remember what the actual options were because Dignitas may not have been one of those options because I think it was looking at
no.
the
It's multiple choice.
bottom record team.
What?
You're not going to give us the multiple choice.
Wow,
So many choices,
CLG scoring 33.1% of the vote. Wow.
Oh my God, we
Yeah.
have the
Your
hardest
face.
teachers ever. They don't even give us the multiple choice.
Right.
the multiple choice
We
question.
picked an answer that wasn't even in there. Wow.
Well, you're all Dig believers, I guess, but it seems like FlyQuest are the ones here that ended up winning out according to Twitter. But how much do you believe that FlyQuest could turn it around? I mean, based on what we have seen thus far.
I mean, it's not a
feel like
question of talent. Like, I feel like they can. They have the ability to, when we look at them individually. But it's gonna be tough.
Today will
Well,
tell. Today,
yes.
if they went today, I'll believe. I'll believe. If not today, I feel like it's getting late.
I'd say recently they've been specifically struggling with support and mid right now, and those are pretty important synergies to go along with your jungler. So that's what I'll be looking for.
So a lot of believers at FlyQuest will save the bees. Nice to know that we have some Dignitas believers on here, a little too high in the standings for our Twitter voting, but still someone we're watching to make a run all the way through. Now, let's get to our second question here. According to Twitch chat, what was gutted the most by patch 11.4? So you got all your options on your screen now, analysts. This is what you got to work with.
I feel like it
When
has
you
to
poll a
be
lot of
Samira.
people, you do get some pretty smart answers. So the smart answer here is clearly Samira.
Yeah,
So-
it has to be. I
They're gonna
can't
go
think of any other answer.
I'll throw it out there and just say, okay, there's probably a lot of junglers voting for jungle because we lost gold, we lost experience. You can't say that we didn't, okay? We got nerfed. we are no longer always the same level as solo laners. But I would also say Samira. I think Samira just got axed. But there could be some jungle voters. I think that's strong second.
Jungle getting nerfed is like being Super Saiyan 4 going down to Super Saiyan 3. It's like, yeah, all right, you're weaker technically.
As long as they don't send me back to building Heart of Gold three times.
Oh, God.
Right at the beginning.
So some thoughts on behalf of all the junglers out here, but everyone seems pretty locked in that Samira is going to win the heart of Twitch chat in terms of who was gutted. And yeah, 77% of the vote. I don't know how many memes I saw of her in coffins with the
Oh,
gravestone
God.
above her after this patch, but yeah, definitely agreed upon there. So do you think there's any possibility that somebody based on comfort will bring Samira out to play here, or do you really think she is just that dead at this point?
She's dead.
Lifeless.
She's dead.
She is dead. If there was one person to do it, it'd be Tactical. He's got the most Samira games, and he's been spamming that with Core JJ. But he's not going to do it. But if one person was going to do it, it'd be him.
Yeah. Also interesting to see what that means for the meta going on, all these kind of shorter range or go all in ADCs getting some attention in the patches. But let's go on to our final question here. This is according to our good friend Jose De Oro. What is one Argentinian food that he would recommend to fans? So how familiar are you all with Argentinian food, if at all?
Chimichurri. I think it's going to say
Admittedly,
a
not at all.
Argentinian grill with chimichurri. That's delicious. When I've been there, I loved it.
I know Crumbs is the food connoisseur on this desk, I feel like, so it doesn't surprise me for you to be the first one to hop in. Emily, you're
Yeah, I have
shaking
no
your head a
idea.
little.
I mean, I'll try any food, so I'm the worst person to ask this question.
I mean, they have a lot of asado, like their version of barbecue, so maybe he would say something
Yeah.
like that.
I was going to say for
Kobe?
sure meat. I was going to say for
Yeah.
sure meat because Argentinian grill is got to be the way to go. Where are empanadas from? Is that?
There are a lot of different kinds. There are some
Everyone
from
makes
Argentina.
empanadas. No
Yeah.
one
I was
has
like,
the origin
empanadas
for
are great. Is that valid?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I grew up on mi abuela's empanadas from Colombia, and there are plenty of empanadas out there that are delicious. I think that's a fair one to put forward. So we've got chimichurri, I'll throw out asado there, meat. We've got empanadas. Let's go ahead and find out what Jose Teodoro is recommending to all the LCS fans.
Well, if I have to recommend one Argentinian food, will be empanadas. I think they are quite good when I eat them in Argentina, so I feel like that they are the best.
Kobe!
Wow.
Empanadas.
Yeah!
Kobe, you got it. Good job.
That's my favorite. I love empanadas.
Well, there's so many different kinds you can do too, right? You know, if you're a vegetarian, you can just stuff it with some cheese and some veggies, maybe some spinach. But if you're a meat lover, there's plenty out there that way too. But thank you so much, Jose Teodoro, for the recommendation. Kobe, you don't have an empanada to eat with your drink there,
Sip
sadly.
your kombucha, yeah. Celebrate.
Well, we're going to end up seeing more from Jose Teodoro just a little later on, because as we pull up our schedule, we are starting off our day with FlyQuest taking on TSM, and that's followed by 100 Thieves versus Cloud9. In Game 3, Alfari gets his shot at revenge versus Immortals, and the action keeps on going all day long. And boy, have these games been packed each and every time throughout this weekend. This is the final day of week number 4, and TSM are standing strong towards the top of our standings as they look to take down FlyQuest today, as we mentioned. So, Emily, it does feel like some of that strength comes from the fact that TSM are getting a handle on how they should best utilize their top laner.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated Huni's little shout out, the NA Jace greater than KR Jace after yesterday's game, but I do think that, like when I was talking about with Sword Art, Huni is a similar kind of player where he's going to look better as team communication increases. And yes, you could say that about any sort of player, but it really does seem like they've gotten much more of a handle on how they want to use Huni. You picked a Divine Sunder Gnar one trick memes have stopped, partially because Gnar build has changed, but also because they've opened up what he's done, right? And through the Gnar, we've seen his team fighting. Yesterday, we saw his side lane potential with the Jace, and I also think Huni started his career as this top laner who was willing to TP bot lane. You know, like he has Rumble, he's TPing bot, he's roaming mid from bot, or from top. I think he is always someone who's been shown to even have maybe a slightly too itchy trigger finger on the teleport to help his team. So I think like with that willingness to help the team overall, it's nice for TSM to have that. And now that they have increased communication, we're finally seeing Huni look better because of it.
I feel like it was just a matter of time before they put him back on some carries, because I was talking about this on the dive and I posed the question. Yes, TSM did need to stabilize because they came into the split with all these different players. They were having a rocky start, but once they stabilized off of some tank play and some, more safe play from Huni, when are they going to get back out there, put him on carries? Because you need that diversity in your playbook if you're going to shoot for the top spot. And this TSM roster was built to win. They spent a lot of money with that goal. So they're going to need the extra look from Huni as well.
I just want to say they put him on the carry, but it was against CLG. So I want to see, are you going to put him on the carry against Fudge?
Wow.
Because I don't think so. I don't think that's what's going to happen, all right? So that's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, that's where you got to go and figure it out, right? If you want to put him back on the carries, he's into it with some games. But I think a lot of us are looking towards the top lane here, Crumbs, because Licorice, we have all been wondering how he is going to do going into the rest of the season here for FlyQuest.
Yeah, and Licorice is not having a really impressive split if you look at the statistics, but when you look at how he's actually playing the game, he's not getting a lot of help. In fact, he's sacrificing a lot of what he does in the beginning of the game to set up Jose Teodoro, whether it's protecting his jungle entrances, just leashing for him, and as a result, he doesn't make it to the lane first. You don't make it to the lane first against somebody that is, you pretty much concede a lot of the initial power. So I think that that's what Licorice is doing right now. When he does get to get ahead in the lane, when he doesn't have to protect his jungler, he does a lot better. So I want to see him have that agency, give him the opportunity to create pressure in the top lane, and it might make the early game for FlyQuest a little bit better.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that Licorice has still shown some of these really big moments. They only have 3 wins, but 2 of those 3 wins were in large part due to him. You remember the Camille right at the beginning, their victory over TSM, this big upset. He's initiating a lot of these plays for them. His Shen game as well from the top side, really good map awareness, nice global ultimates. So I feel like we all want more for FlyQuest and this developmental roster to actually take off and take flight. And a lot of the faith is in Licorice to kind of lead that charge.
Yeah, and I think it's very important noting the fact that with Licorice, while there is some criticism of how the play has been going, no one here seems to be counting him out as somebody that can be a powerful force for FlyQuest. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up with Emily's favorite portion of today. It's prediction time. Let's see if there's any contradictions among our analysts.
Wow, it's another boring day here at the analyst
These are incorrect. I predicted CLG at the very end.
Really?
I have the email. I have the email right in front of me. I put CLG because you know what? I got FOMO. I don't want to have the FOMO of like when CLG get their win, I got to be there predicting it. I got to be shouting I never doubted them. So if they get a win and I predict against them,
wait,
we cut the tape, right? I'm not going with that.
Are you predicting every CLG game now until they win?
Within reason. I'm not predicting like versus Cloud9 and stuff. But for this one, I'm saying they got a shot. I feel like it's time.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. You're sticking with your team. Like that's good.
The CLG hopeful, and they have had some moments to get that hope up, which is why it hurts a bit more when they end the way they do. But we'll find out at the end of the day how they're able to fare in that matchup. It is time for us to head things over to Game 1, and we've got Flowers and Azael here for the call.